There have been almost 10,000 D1 college basketball teams since 1997, but no team has had a better offense than the Auburn Tigers this year. They have arguably the best player in the country, shooters everywhere, and a lot of guys that can simply just go get you a bucket. It isn't always elaborate play designs, but oftentimes just very simple offense. So why can't teams stop it? Let's go through what Auburn does so well. The case for Auburn being the best offense in college basketball history starts with just the pure efficiency. We're going to look here. These are the top 10 most efficient offenses from a season in college basketball history per College Basketball Reference. And you see Auburn slot in at 6th at 122.0 offensive rating. Now, of note, there are two teams from even just this season above them, Duke and Gonzaga, at 124.2 and 122.3 respectively. But what sets Auburn apart a little bit is the competition that they are doing it against. It is so crazy that just in general they're able to produce this offense, but they're doing it against the toughest schedule in the entire country. And so now when we look at the KenPom ratings over KenPom's history, you see Auburn slot in at number 1 for offensive rating at 129.7. Now that is adjusted for strength of schedule and who you play and things like that. You look at these stats, right? And just the raw output has been so wild for this Auburn team. And I think the biggest thing is they have versatility. They have multiple guys that are legit 3-level scorers. There are multiple guys that can go create a shot for themselves, and everybody knows their role. You do that surrounding Johni Broome, arguably the best player in the entire country, and now you're going to have a good result. Johni Broome's averaging 18 points, 11 rebounds. He is leading the team in points. He's also leading the team in assists at 3.4 assists, shooting 55% from 2. But it isn't just him. There are 6 guys averaging 10 plus points per game. So when you have that mixed in with Johni Broome doing his thing, that's where some of the consistency really comes into play. This season, they've only had 2 games under 1.034 points per possession. That's of significance because that is the D1 average. So they only have 2 games this entire year that is under the D1 average for offensive efficiency. What stands out with this Auburn offense is that their cuts are just never wasted movement. The cuts themselves may not necessarily lead to the bucket, but the cuts set up the spacing or the proper order for Auburn to then be able to get a bucket. They cut with purpose, they cut with aggressiveness, and it just puts defenses on their heels because there is no wasted movement and the cuts are going to generate something for Auburn. If you look here at the graphic, they are 16th in the country in terms of efficiency off of cuts at 1.366 points per possession. It is just lethal and you have to be aware of them at all times. One thing that they love to run out of the base of their offense is this little flex screen. So as this ball screen happens up top, you're going to notice this flex screen right here for this strong side corner to then cut through to the weak side block. This is going to happen here, and in this one, he gets the pull up to go. They also will use it though to set up other things. And so right here, you're going to see this flex screen once again right here. And now this isn't necessarily cutting through to get a bucket, but it now sets up the post up where the defense is moving. Now you can go one-on-one, convert a tough post up, but you see that the cutting eventually is what sets it up. They also will run a lot of off-ball stuff off of it, where the cut itself, not just these flex screens, but the cut itself will be what causes it to be open. So this right here is going to be an Iverson screen. And now from there, you're going to see a rip screen. And from the rip screen being that back screen on Broome, and now Broome catches the ball at the rim, able to go up quickly. The other thing that they do very well, is they'll have their screeners slip a lot. And a lot of things can kind of happen out of them slipping. And somebody like Johni Broome, with his versatility, passing, scoring, rebounding, it really emphasizes just how good he is because he can do a little bit of everything in these actions. So we're going to look here, this step up screen where now Broome's going to catch in the short roll. And then from there, with Kent State having put 2 on the ball, it's 2-on-1. And again, cut to the rim, hard cut. Broome's going to find him for a bucket at the rim. And you're going to see one right here, again, where he's going to slip. So they twist into this zoom action, and you see just Broome slip. Look at him slip right there. And now as he rolls, you know Houston was going to put 2 on the ball, and he can get all the way to the rim. So the ability that they have to cut is just lethal, and teams have to be on the lookout for it at all times, but it isn't the only thing that they can do. they are also a team that will post up a lot. And if we look at the graphic right here, 255 post-ups on the year, 0.969 points per possession, only 104th in D1 ranking, but there is so much that can be created out of it. Again, because Johni Broome is just there and can pass, he can score, but it isn't also just him always. We're going to look at a couple plays here where Broome shows that he can just post from anywhere, high post, low post. Here he's going to set that flex screen once again and get the switch into the post. And so from here, you're going to see Auburn seal the low man, and that means Broome can kick out for 3, and now they get a wide open 3 to go. They also love running this baseline out of bounds play, where right here, they just kind of lob it up to Broome, and now from there, he can one-on-one post. They double, or they go for the steal, kick out, easy 3. It's just a very quick, effective way, obviously, post-ups are, that Auburn can get into their stuff. And with Broome's versatility, you have to respect him as a scorer because he's so good at getting to that over that right shoulder. He can post up at the 3-point line. He can seal at the block. It is really, really tough to guard because on top of that, it's really, really hard to double them. If you want to double him in the post, that means that you're going to leave some shooter open, whether it be Chad Baker-Mazara, Pettiford, guys like that are very, very capable shooters. You just kind of have to pick your poison, and that's what this Auburn offense makes you do. If Auburn's cutting ability is the biggest thing that sets them apart to me, their ability to create in ISOs isn't too far behind. They've ran 191 this year at 1.037 points per possession. That is the 22nd most efficient in ISOs in all of the country. Again, versatility and lots of guys that can go get you a bucket. Chad Baker-Mazara, Johni Broome have been absolutely elite in isolation. Tahad Pettiford has shown that he can absolutely just take over a game, getting to step backs, getting to pull-ups, and sometimes you just can't guard that. You want guys to ISO because generally that's going to mean pull-ups, generally that's going to mean tougher shots, but Auburn does it in a way where they can combine it with other looks, and it isn't just, hey, dribble the ball up the floor, go one-on-one. Sometimes they do that because they trust their guys to do it, but they might run a flex action into an ISO or a delay action where Johni Broome is trailing and then he's going to attack. And so you look at all of those things and it just kind of adds into this good offense because they have multiple dudes on the floor at all times who can create from pretty much anywhere on the floor. It is interesting that they do have one of the higher pull-up rates in the entire country, and that's just another testament to how good of a shooting team that this is. They aren't, number one in the country in three-point percentage or anything like that, but they shoot really, really well on pull-ups, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later in the video. Modern basketball uses so much pick and roll, and Auburn is no different, although their usage rate of pick and roll compared to other teams isn't super high. I think they're around in the bottom third, but we look at the stats, 552 pick and rolls, that does include kickouts, 1.005 points per possession, that is 24th best in the entire country. They can score, they can hoop, they can go get buckets. Tahad Pettiford, Chad Baker-Mazara, Denver Jones are all top 25% in efficiency in pick and roll in the entire country. And one thing that Auburn loves to do is run this roll and replace action. And so we're going to look at it here where there's a high ball screen and Johni Broome's going to replace the roll. Also, some people call it a shallow cut, where now he fills to the top and so much can happen from here. Here, defense leaves him and now he can just drive all the way to the rim. We're going to look at another play. This time, Broome is the one setting the screen, and you're going to see a roll and replace. Duke stays with Broome on the roll, and nobody really is able to stay in front on the drive, and Pettiford's able to get all the way to the rim. And now we're going to look at another one right here. High ball screen, roll and replace, and now here, with the replacing of the roll, that's going to bring his defender with him, which means that this lob is now going to be open to easy 2 points at the rim. It is just lethal of what they can run. And with Broome, there's the facilitating and the driving where he can set a screen or he can replace the roll. And if he gets it up at the top, you have to play him as a driver. But if you aren't there with the rest of your defense, he's just going to spray out to one of his many shooters. They also have a lob play that they love to run, and I've seen them run many times, where you're going to start here, Broome gets the ball, and now it's going to set up this empty corner pick and roll, where he's going to slip it, and it's actually empty Spain, with this back screen being set for Broome. And now you have this weak side flare that takes care of the weak side defense, the low man a little bit, lob up, let Broome finish it at the rim. That's been one of their staples really all year long. Again. Now, I've mentioned balance throughout this video and how many players can go and get you a bucket and many players can go and make plays. It reflects in their shot chart as well. If we look on the left here, this is their field goal percentage by area. They are in the top 75 in every single one of those areas specified. And if you even look at their field goal attempts per area, they'll take some mid-ranges, they'll take some shots in the paint, they'll take some threes, and they'll take some shots at the rim. There isn't one specific thing that necessarily overpowers their offense, and I think that is ultimately one of the biggest reasons why they're having so much success. Yes, we talk about their efficient offensive movement and how they make their players be in the right spots and use their talents to the best, but they're also just so balanced everywhere. There's not one specific action you have to shut off. There's not one specific shot you have to shut off because Auburn has the counter already ready, and they probably already have your counter to the counter. And so when you look at how to try to stop this offense, that's where it's become a lot more difficult, and only a couple teams have really had much success at all this season. Led by Johni Broome, who can do, like I said, basically everything on the floor. Isn't a great three-point shooter, but what he's able to do, it doesn't really matter. And so it's just going to be interesting to see how teams are going to try to defend them going down the stretch. This is an elite jump shooting team, and more specifically than that, they are just really, really elite off the dribble. They're in the 78th percentile in terms of pull-up jumpers on the year. They've taken 243 of them, which is one of the higher rates in the entire country. They're also in the 92nd percentile in catch and shoot threes. So it doesn't really matter what you want to do. Run them off the line. They have dudes that can get to the rim. Let them shoot. They have shooters that can knock it down. And the other thing that I think really stands out on top of that is if we look here at their four factors. Now, their effective field goal percentage is going to be very good because they shoot well from 3 and from 2. But the turnovers and offensive rebounding also, I think, factor into this a lot. They don't turn the ball over, simply put. They are going to win the possession battle because they do not turn the ball over and they crash the offensive glass really, really hard. And so when you look at them being 4th in turnover percentage and 28th in offensive rebounding percentage, even if they do make a mistake, chances are they're going to probably be able to recoup from it because either many mistakes aren't going to be made in the future, or they're just going to go grab a miss. If you put up a tough shot, that's why it's fine with them taking some tougher shots and tougher pull-ups, is because they're just going to go and get the ball. Now, you combine all of this on top of having a great defense. There's a reason why they're one of the favorites to cut down the nets in April, but there's still a long way to go, and we'll see what happens.